Good morning, guys. Morning here in Spain. For all those who have been following my work for the past couple of years, know that I am a commercial photographer specializing in shooting drinks and cosmetics for advertising. And along this journey of mine, I've always tried to share the behind the scenes from my projects, the way I shoot cosmetics and drinks through YouTube and Instagram. But there always have been huge gaps between uploading videos on social media. And the reason for that is, being a commercial photographer itself is a full-time job. There's so much that goes into building this business, from creating your personal projects to doing commercial shoots, meeting people, and doing 100 different things to be a successful commercial photographer. That I barely got time for creating videos for social media, and whenever I've tried, I've pretty much failed. Right? So this time what I've decided is to create these vlogs where I can share whatever I'm doing in a day as a commercial photographer based in Spain, here in Barcelona. Right? So I'll be sharing whether I'm working on personal projects, commercial projects, testing out equipment, doing test shoots, building lighting setups, or whatever I'm doing here in my studio, or meeting people, the way I do my networking, and various other marketing stuff for being a commercial photographer. I will be sharing all of that through these vlogs, keeping everything absolutely real. And I can tell you the very fact that most of the stuff that I see on YouTube where people say that this is a day in a photographer's life is pretty much not true, right? And it can't be, because every photographer is different. Every photographer has a very different way of working. So here I'll be sharing whatever I am doing, being a commercial photographer. So today what I'm doing is I'm shooting a photo from a project of a beer brand, and today's setup is where I'm showing a beer bottle and a beer glass on a poolside setup. So I've created a tiny little pool in my studio here, which I'll be showing you in just a moment. So I'll be shooting a photo, and the plan is to to build the composition, to shoot the photo, and to finish this shoot today itself. And for those of you who don't know, like, creating these highly detailed product photos can take up to anywhere between 6 to 8 hours, right? So the goal is to finish the shoot today and share the entire process with you guys. So let's get started. Right, so this, what you see behind me, is a lighting set from the previous shot, which was also pretty similar to what I'm shooting today, in the exact same poolside setup. So the setup will remain the same, but the angle is very different, the composition is very different. So I'll have to change the lights around the product. So I'll walk you through the set once everything is in place, once I build the entire set again for today's shot. And for the camera today, I'm using the Nikon D850, which is right here, along with the PCE 85 lens, which is also, you can also call it a tilt shift lens, where the front element of the lens can be tilted and shifted, so it gives me a lot of control over the focal plane, right? So opens up endless possibilities when shooting products. So this is my choice of lens, again 85 PCE from Nikon. And the camera is D850. I also have another camera body, Z9. But for this entire project, I've decided to shoot the stills on D850 and video on Z9, right? And why, I'll tell you later. And on the Z9, the lenses I'm using are the Zeiss Milvus lenses for getting really beautiful, beautiful colors and contrast right in camera for videos, right? Okay, so here's the next update from the shoot, and of course, another cup of coffee to keep me going. And so, whenever I'm doing a shoot like this or any commercial product shoot, I make sure that the branding on the product is clearly readable in all my compositions. Now, this is one of the most important points, and every brief will make sure that this thing happens. Now, if you look at my body of work, you will realize that all of my photos or most of my photos have been shot with a very shallow depth of field, right? So even though I go really close to the product in the photos to make it look bigger, heroic, and larger than life, and at the same time, when I'm going close, I'm using a very shallow depth of field, which means that most of the product would be out of focus. But even in that case, I make sure that the branding, or at least the important part of the branding, is clearly readable. So if you look at the shot right here, so let me just show you the composition that I'm working on. I think it will be clear from this angle, right? So this is pretty much what I'm shooting. I'm going really close and close to the product, which is the bottle and the beer glass. And as you can see, it feels as if the bottle and the glass are kept on a poolside on a nice sunny day. You see nice dark shadows here. And the branding is absolutely clear and readable on the product, on the body label, and also on the neck label, right? And if you look at the glass, it is completely out of focus with a very shallow depth of field, right? And of course, I'll be filling up the glass with the beer, so it will make more sense in the composition. But so far, this is what I've achieved. I'm very happy with the composition. Now I'm fine tuning the lighting around the product. So once the lighting is done, the beer is filled, and I've styled the bottle. I'll be shooting multiple photos in plates, because that is how I shoot. And once I have those couple of photos for the final shot, then I'll walk you through the entire set and talk about the photos and my composition, right? Okay, so finally the day is over and the shoot is over, and it's around 5:30 in the evening. I think I started at 11:15 in the morning. So there you have it. This is how long it takes to create one single shot. Now, one thing I forgot to mention in the morning was that whenever I'm shooting with continuous lights, I always make sure to cut down all the ambient light in the studio. As you can see, there's one huge window right here, which I've covered with a black opaque blind, right? Now, if you look at the set, it was a pretty simple set today. I just used two lights, as you can see. One light is with the parabolic modifier, and other light is with a Fresnel lens. And both the lights are the same model. So I'm using the Nanlite Forza 60B2 bicolor light, beautiful light, very nice form factor, ease of use is fantastic. And this is the same light, okay, with a Fresnel lens right here. Now, the idea of using this parabolic modifier, which you're seeing right here, is basically to imitate sunlight in studio. Right now, if you look at the sky on a clear sunny day, you will observe that there's sun, and then of course there's the sky in the background, right? Now, to imitate the same effect, I'm using this parabolic modifier without the front diffusion, so that the light right here, this one, behaves like a sun, right? And the entire reflective surface around it behaves like the clear blue sky, so that when you look at the set, the entire set is lit evenly, right? So that's the idea behind using this parabolic modifier. And the second light that I'm using right here with a Fresnel lens is so basically, I use a Fresnel right here to control the you can say the spot of light, right? So I'm using it at 10 degrees, which means I'm having a very tight spot on the product, basically to light the label right here, okay? And of course, the sunlight or the parabolic modifier is also lighting the entire pool. So I'm getting a beautiful light on the set, even light, harsh shadows, fantastic light, right? Now I have mentioned the camera and the lens. Another thing I'm using here is this, polarizer. Now the polarizer can make a huge difference when you're shooting products, as when you're putting up multiple lights on the set, oftentimes you will end up getting highlights on the products that you don't want, right? Or some reflections, like in this case, what was happening was that I was getting the reflections of the blue waters on the bottle. Or in fact, let me just show you what exactly I mean. So let's look at the iPad. Let's open the live view. Now look at the bottle here. Okay, I will start rotating the polarizer like this, and you will see the effects on the bottle, right? So look at this side, this edge, and you'll see the difference. So right now I don't see any reflections, but as I rotate, see, now it is catching reflections from the pool, blue reflection from the pool, and now it is gone, right? So this is why a polarizer is really really useful when you're shooting products and you want to control each and every highlight on the bottle or the product, right? Now another thing that I'm experimenting with these days is using an iPad for tethering, and I'm very very happy with the performance. Now, why I'm using iPad? To be honest, just for fun, because I like to experiment with new things to keep the excitement on. Otherwise, I have my full-fledged iMac tethering station with an external monitor. So I always use, or I used to use, this monitor for the live view, and of course the iMac for the tethered capture. But I'm very very happy using the iPad. The only downside of using an iPad for tethering is that if you're shooting photos quickly, like you're shooting photos in burst mode, because when sometimes, let's say I'm creating these waves in the water and I want to capture a burst. Now in that situation, the iPad or the Capture One app can freeze, not because of the limitations of the iPad or the Capture One, but because of the limitation of the USB hub that I'm using. So normally if you want to have, or if you want to shoot in burst mode, always use a USB hub which is externally powered, so that it can provide enough power to the tethered cable to be able to transfer such huge data at a very fast rate, right? Now of course, when I'm shooting on my iMac, I always use this externally powered USB hub, which is right here on the Lassie RAID 2. Now coming back to the iPad, the user interface is also pretty good and pretty fluid, so I didn't have any issues using the iPad. Now let's look at some of the photos that I captured today. Now of course, this is composite, right? So I have taken multiple shots for the same photo. So what you're seeing here is not the final photo, and also I cannot show you the final photo today in this video, because as I mentioned earlier, I am keeping everything real, as it happens in real life. So of course, today was the shoot day. Today the shoot is done, one of the photos is done. Day after tomorrow I have another, I'll be creating another visual from the same series, and once all the visuals are done, then we would move on to the retouching phase, right? So right now of course I can't show you the final photo, but let's have a look at some of the photos that I took today. Okay, so this one is for the refraction right here of the glass, beautiful light on the stone. And so similarly I've taken multiple shots, one with the beer in the glass, one with the froth and the beer head in different positions. I have shot the beer at different levels in the glass, just to make sure which one looks the best. And similarly I've created some waves in the background, to imitate the effect that you see on a pool, on the surface of a pool on a sunny day, right? So this is pretty much the final composition, but once the photo is ready, you'll be able to see actually the entire series on my Instagram. So make sure you connect with me on my Instagram to see the entire project. And this is pretty much it for the day. So now I'll wrap it up, and we have to go to get some groceries, have a regular day towards the end, right? So I'll see you all in the next one, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll get back to you. See you guys soon. Cheers.